Just because a conversation is uncomfortable doesn't make it any less important. Sometimes bringing issues to light can help other people dealing with the same trauma, let them know they're not alone. It's what's happening now with sexual abuse and assault cases. We've seen many high-profile stories take shape in Missouri, watching allegations from the Agape Boys School to the International House of Prayer in Kansas City to Epic Church in Independence. Sadly, the list goes on.
There are too many cases of pastors, especially people in authority and power, that are getting away with things like this. And there just needs to be no more.
Allegations of assault and abuse have led to shutdowns and resignations, all while accusers work to find peace and justice. But that is an uphill battle. Sharing these deeply personal stories is traumatic in and of itself. And then sometimes it isn't enough. One of the main issues in Missouri, the statute of limitations, the amount of time you have to prosecute a crime or file a lawsuit. Criminal sex abuse cases can move forward at any time if the victim's underage, but there's a clock on civil suits. Most survivors have until age 31 to file civil claims against the perpetrator and age 26 for other defendants. But it takes many victims years to have the courage to come forward, which can make revisiting a case nearly impossible in Missouri.
Because the law on it is just so skewed. It is so skewed. And if anything, that coming forward now and what we plan to do in the future, if anything, if we can change that law, it's got to be changed. It's got to be.
Change could be coming soon. Survivors packed a Missouri Senate committee meeting last week supporting two bills state lawmakers are considering. One would remove the statute of limitations on child sex abuse civil claims and make attackers liable for damages. Another prevents non-disclosure agreements from applying to anyone involved in childhood sexual abuse. Survivors say these changes are desperately needed.
Without amending the laws in Missouri, nothing can be done to stop these types of predators whose abuse is sophisticated enough to require many years to disentangle. It took me over 20 years to understand that it wasn't my fault. We must give the children of Missouri as much time as they need.
Similar bills have failed in Missouri in the past, with opposition mainly coming from insurance companies concerned about being exposed to liability. KMBC 9 News has been following this from the start. Krista Taschel went to Jeff City last week and has been sharing stories from survivors. Thank you so much for being here to get to the heart of what is a devastating and a critical, emotional topic.
It is.
First off, set the scene for us from last week. We saw several survivors step forward really to help future victims.
Right. When they were there giving testimony, these are women and men, too, who have never had to give this kind of testimony before in a Senate setting. And if you've never been in one of those chambers, it's very intimidating. There are about 50 people watching you. There are cameras on you. There's a whole arc of senators listening to what you have to say. And some of them were shaking as they did it. And they were giving testimony, not just about abuse they say happened to them at the International House of Prayer in Kansas City. There were survivors from Kanakuk camps. That's a Christian sports camp in Branson, as well as the Boy Scouts of America. And it wasn't just females. There were also males who were brave enough to come forward and share their stories.
Again, they want these two bills to pass through the General Assembly. Let's start with the first one. It eliminates, as we said, the statute of limitations on civil cases. Why is that important?
Well, it's never happened before. This type of legislation has never made it this far. Lobbyists from the insurance company kind of come in and block the legislation. This is what I've been told from attorneys who are well versed in childhood sexual abuse cases, as well as senators who are saying this is a major hurdle. And so they're pushing to move it past those hurdles, but it has a long way to go. That's why the survivors are stepping in to try to push it forward and convince those senators with their actual stories, which are compelling.
And some of them have not been allowed to tell their stories because of non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. That's the second bill, right? Eliminates those for these cases. Survivors say many times these are used to silence victims. Here's what the bill's sponsor had to say.
The very people who hold the truth are legally silenced. Therefore, society remains at risk as bad actors maintain their good public standing and reputation.
You know, it struck me from last week's testimonies that some family members didn't even know what was going on in some of these cases because they were locked tight with these NDAs.
Yeah, and husbands and wives, they'd been married over 20 years, and finally they found out what happened because I think one of the survivors put it very succinctly. She said, "My shelf broke. My shelf broke. All of this guilt and embarrassment and shame I felt the shelf broke and I couldn't keep it inside any longer and I had to tell someone.
I mean, it's, as we said, it's just a traumatic experience, and even having the courage to come forward, A, and then B, as you said, be in a Senate committee hearing, that takes a lot. Hard to avoid discussing the scope of this problem. You mentioned just a few local and even regional issues, but there are more out there.
It is overwhelming when I heard the numbers from survivors. One survivor told me that we're looking at, let's say, 50 people in that room. Of the 50 people in that room, 30 of them or more were sharing their stories, or they were supporting others who were sharing their stories. There was a time limit, so they didn't get to speak. But one of the survivors told me at specifically IHOP, KC, International House of Prayer, she has been told by over 100 other victims of childhood sexual abuse that they were abused, but they are not ready to come forward yet. So that's why these people are sharing their stories.
And we know, as we said, to help future victims, as of right now, this isn't retroactive, right? No. This goes forward, but not backward.
Right. The only way these would be applied retroactive if a Senate joint resolution, there's one currently being read, it's had 2 readings so far, that would put this issue before the Missouri public. They would either vote in the 2026 election or in a special election. But senators are telling me that is the main goal.
30 seconds left.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate that this is going to pass, that these bills will pass?
I'm neither an attorney nor a politician, but they were all in favor of voting very quickly. They're going to vote, I think, next week to put it to the Senate floor for debate, and that is immensely progressive.
As you said, this is the furthest that this has ever gone.
It's historic.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Krista Tashel, thank you so much for covering this. If you or someone you know needs help, call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-4673. Operators are standing by 24/7. You can also chat with staffers online at online.rainn.org. And count on KMBC 9 News and Heart of the Matter for continuing coverage on this important issue. We're bringing the latest developments on air and online at KMBC.com.